This episode is sponsored by Agent CRM. If you're in sales and tired of paying 3, 4, or 5 different companies for your email, CRM, funnels, phone, follow-up automation, check out Agent CRM. It's an all-in-one tool that combines all that you need to reach out, nurture, and close your clients. They've got weekly support calls so you can get up and running in no time. Get a free 14-day trial by going to the link below in the show notes. Hey everyone, this is Dan with the Intentional Entrepreneur Podcast. I have a very special guest with me today. He's the owner of 8-Figure Firm Consulting and specializes in helping legal professionals optimize and grow their practices. He has been recognized by various legal organizations and has over 20 years of experience, including as a managing partner of a successful law firm with almost 200 employees. I do want to welcome to the show, Louis Scott.
Hey, Dan, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, likewise. And I'm very excited to talk to you today about the marketer's mindset and how you got your own firm and helping other firms get to 8 figures. But before we kind of get into all the nitty gritty, can you share a little bit about your background and how you got to where you're doing today?
Yeah, so one of the things that my dad used to tell me was that I was going to be a lawyer or I was going to be a comedian, and I always thought I wasn't smart enough to be a lawyer. So maybe I wasn't even funny enough to be a comedian either. But I always tell people became a comedic lawyer. I had a chance encounter, and this is kind of part of the entrepreneur journey. But I had a chance encounter with a judge who gave me an internship. I went to work for him, and then one law firm to the next law firm to the next law firm. So 3 law firms later. I've built 2 7-figure law firms, 1 8-figure law firm. And now really my full-time effort, 100% of my effort is helping other law firms consult. So I spend 100% of my time helping other law firms grow their business so that they can achieve what I've achieved in the past.
Awesome. And that judge that you work for, were they, was it civil, was it criminal, was it kind of a mix of both?
So it was a magistrate court judge. What happened was I was in a class. It was called business law, and he had everyone stand up and tell them why what you wanted to get out of the class and a couple of facts that were interesting to you. And so I, as the class clown, got up and I said, I like long walks on the beach and candlelit dinners. Those were my 2 fun facts, and I wanted to be a lawyer. And so I sat down. People laughed, and at the end of class, he came to me and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Scott, can I speak to you?" And I was like, "Uh-oh, he didn't like that joke." Yeah, so I went up to him and I said, "Yes, sir." And he was like, "Do you really want to be a lawyer?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know if I'm smart enough." He said, "Why don't you work for me for 3 months?" And that's what set it off. And so I did everything. I actually worked in the courthouse. I interpreted. I worked for the DA, the prosecutor, felony. I worked for a defense attorney. So I got a little taste of everything. It was a really, really cool internship.
Awesome. Man, I bet you all those other people missed it. Like the class clown says 3 jokes, and he gets a job offer in like the first day.
You have to be able to capitalize on what you have, right? Like if the skill set you have is telling jokes, you got to tell a joke.
Awesome. Yeah, today we're talking about the marketer's mindset, developing the mindset of a marketer to grow your practice. And it's something I think, for a lot of business owners, they are good at certain things, right? They're good at, as I interviewed they're like a chef. They make, they make these sauces, but they're good at making sauces, right? They weren't made out to be marketers. And so let's talk about I think everything starts with the mindset, right?
Yes.
And so what does it take to maybe be self-aware by the entrepreneurs? Like, oh, I need to change how I think about myself and my business in order for it to grow.
Yeah, I think the marketer mindset starts by recognizing that the number 1 investment, not the number 2 investment, not the number 3 investment, but the number 1 investment is in your own business. That's the first part of the mindset, right? A lot of times I hear these law firm owners or really business owners in general, entrepreneurs, because I love talking to all entrepreneurs, but I hear these entrepreneurs and they're like, I'm going to take all this money out of the business, $500,000, $1 million, and I'm going to put it into a 401k, an IRA, property, real estate. None of that will give you the return that your business will give you. And we know this because if you take $100,000 and you buy a piece of property in 10 years, it may be worth twice as much or 3 times as much. So let's just suppose that you take 100,000, you buy a $500,000 property. 3 years from now, 10 years from now, if it's worth three times as much, it's worth 1.5 million. That seems like an okay return. But you could take that same 100,000 and 10 years from now, turn that into millions upon millions if you put it in your own business. Now, obviously, the caveat here is if you're a real estate investor, then that's your business. So that's a little bit different. I'm talking about the entrepreneur that their business is not to do something else. It's not an investment portfolio. It's not an investor. They should invest into their own business instead of buying stocks of other businesses. So the mindset of the marketer is I'm going to get my biggest return by investing into my own business. That's where it starts.
So, investing can mean a lot of different things to different people, especially when it's going back to your business. Can you share a little bit? Is it more, obviously you put the money back. Is it buying more ads? Is it hiring more staff? What does it look like for some of these businesses that you're working with?
I think eventually it's getting more staff, but it's
Mm-hmm.
generating sales. That's the
Mm-hmm.
number one thing. If
Mm-hmm.
somebody gave me $100,000 today, I'd probably put 100% of it into generating more sales. Because if you get sales, if you have clients, if you have something that you've sold, you're going to make money back. And if you make money back, then you can afford to hire people. Now, obviously, if we were consulting, I'd create a more nuanced strategy
Mm-hmm.
for you, and I would make sure that you have a balance of sales and people to produce the product. But
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about the investment at the initial stages, because we're talking about the mindset of a marketer, the
Mm-hmm.
investment has to be in marketing to generate sales. That's what it has to
Mm-hmm.
be. We need
Yeah.
clients and we need them now. And the more clients we get now, the more likely it is that we can grow our business because we're going to generate momentum. And that's what we
Mm-hmm.
want is we want momentum in our business on
Mm-hmm.
lead and client acquisition because that momentum will lead to profitability long term.
Yeah, I remember I've been a part of different businesses and especially ones that have been struggling. And you kind of made a good point. Is like sales solves a lot of problems. Doesn't solve everything, but solves a lot of problems, especially in a
Yeah.
struggling business.
Yeah. No, and I had a I guess he's an acquaintance of mine. He used to always say that cash is king and clients conquers all. So
Mm,
like if you can get clients and you can get cash, you're going to be good to go. You can solve every other problem. There's somebody out there that has the tools and the skill set to solve every problem that you have, but you need to bring in money. And so if you're going to invest in your business, invest in the things that generate more money.
what would you say to the business owners who obviously starting a new business is very exciting, right? And then as you kind of get more and tune to what it really is to run a business, a lot of people lose motivation, and obviously there's certain statistics that a lot of
Mm.
businesses fail within a short amount of time within their first year, first 2 years. How would you say, having the marketer's mindset and actually sustaining that marketer's mindset throughout the duration of the business?
I think one of the problems that people have in failing businesses, people say that they fail because of lack of cash. I could see in extreme situations that that's the case, but I don't think that's the case for most people. I think people genuinely do not understand the amount of sweat equity that goes into building a business. And so what you'll see somebody who starts a real estate business part-time. You'll see somebody who starts an online boutique store part-time. You'll see someone who starts an Amazon drop shipping part-time. And when you do that, you're not going to get the same result as a person who's working 80 to 100 hours a week. Now, there are people out there that say you don't have to work 80 to 100 hours a week. You can work 30 hours a week and make this. And I think that those are the anomalies. I don't know if it's true that most people can get away with just working as little as they can and making a lot of money. There are strategies to do that, no doubt about it. But I think we underestimate the amount of time it takes to actually become successful in any endeavor. So, how do you stay motivated? How do you keep the marketer's mindset throughout the process? Is what my good friend used to tell me: extend your horizon. If you believe you can do this in a year, plan to do it for 2 years. If you could believe that it's going to take 5 years, plan to do it for 10 years. The longer your horizon, the less likely it is that you're going to get disappointed. And disappointment is what dissipates motivation and enthusiasm. It's the constant wearing down of our like motivation that gets us to quit. And so we have to try to protect that at all costs. So when I go into something, I never say in a year, I'm going to do this. In 2 years, I'm going to do this. I'm going to first ask, how long does it normally take? And then I'm going to say, okay, I need to take a little bit longer than that, but I'm going to still try to hit the goal, but I'm going to take a little bit longer than that. That way I don't get disappointed and my motivation and enthusiasm stays high.
So one of the first things you said obviously was, investing into the business is a better return on, the more traditional vehicles for investment. And I think um, investing as a leader, your particular skill sets, right, is really important. Can you share a little bit about that particular investment and, for business owners, not to obviously bring in more sales, but the leadership aspect, right? Because as your business grows, you're going to have to manage a lot more things, a lot more people. And how does the business owner stay on top of the ability to manage people?
Yeah, I mean, there's two different laws that you can read up on, and one of them is the oh, I don't know if it's considered a law, but one of them is like what the concept of complexity management. Complexity management is the idea that the more complex things are, the higher the level of management skills the person
Mm,
requires to solve that complexity, right? So that's
mhm,
concept number one. The concept
mhm,
number two is the law of expansion, which is that we will expand to fill the space that we have. We will
mhm,
expand to the size of the business that we have and so forth. So
mhm,
as you get more people, you will expand, and you need to be able to manage that better. And as the problems become more complex, you need to be able to manage that. So I've always said that the most important part of being an entrepreneur is that you have to build you first before your
mhm,
business is built. Personal growth is going to precede professional growth. And so you want to spend a lot of time building yourself. I read a lot. I've One of the things that I challenge people to do is read 52 books in 52 weeks. And I'll throw this challenge out to all the listeners. If you read 52 books in 52 weeks, within 18 to 36 months, you will absolutely double your income. I'm telling you, it will happen because something happens inside of you. And I've gotten pushback on this. People say, you don't have to read that. You're not going to remember everything. It's not just about remembering everything. You only need one nugget from each book that you
mhm,
implement that will take you to the
mhm,
new level. But the bottom line is that if you create the discipline to every
mhm,
single day read 25 pages a day, and digest 25 pages a day every single day for an entire year, that changes you. It's no different than
mhm,
going to the gym every single day for a year. That changes you. Or eating healthy for a year. That changes you. And so it's what happens in you when you're reading that transforms everything that's outside of you. And so when I think about building yourself as a leader, you should spend a lot of time building yourself. And so I read a lot. Last year,
mhm,
there's this particular app that you can get that reads you a book in 20 minutes. I did
mhm.
130 of those books in 20
Yeah.
minutes. Like, get resourceful, use the tools that you have, get the nuggets that you
Mhm,
need, and then implement those. And
mhm.
that will is what's going to cause your business to flourish.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I used to read a lot more. Now I've got a lot more kids to deal with, but I still love reading. And what comes out, I mean, you never know what you're really gonna get, right? You mentioned it before, like just these one nuggets, and you don't exactly right. You don't need to remember everything. You just need to take one actionable thing out of the book that you read,
Yes.
and you take 52 actions a year, and you're absolutely right. You'll double your business 18 to 36 months. Um, I want to switch over just a little bit. We've been talking about marketers' mindset, and obviously, as business owners, especially in a service-based type business, it's always kind of up and down. It's like a roller coaster, but hopefully, the trajectory still is going up. How can how can service-based businesses create predictable revenue and growth?
Yeah, I mean, I think a service-based business is a very similar to a products-based business.
Mm,
And the reason for that is because I explain in my book that you have to package your service as a product. You want to
mm,
start thinking about your service as a product, whatever it is that you're delivering. Let's say you are delivering a video content service for social media. That's a product. What's the product?
mm,
What's all the deliverables within that? The product contains the following items: an on site recording session for 4 hours, 20 edited videos, posting every single day for a month. That's your product. And so
mhm,
when you start thinking about your product like that, then you can start asking the question, well, who's going to buy it? What's the cost of what they're going to buy? What does the person need to hear who's going to buy it? And then how can we deliver that message to that person. And so if you work it backwards, you first package
Mhm,
your service like a product. You ask who
mhm,
the ideal client is. You ask
mhm,
where they can be found. You ask what they need to hear. And then you start marketing in those locations through the delivery mechanism. That's what creates predictability. And so I have a funnel that says you want
mm,
to create awareness of your product first. That will generate leads. Leads generate sales opportunities. Sales generate work. Work generates the necessity for people. People create systems that eventually lead to profitability. And so you want to start by creating predictable leads. What happens
mhm,
in the service-based business is that people are so reliant on referrals that
mhm,
they never create an actual system for generating leads. And then when
mhm,
the referrals die up, they don't have any predictability. So be intentional about
mm,
generating leads, and it's just like a product-based business. You
mm.
just package it differently.
For a lot of, like you said, a lot of service-based businesses is very referral dependent, whether
Mhm.
it's, just these are the casual relationship, or these referral groups, BNI, the tip, and all these organizations. Outside of those, right? How are you advising clients? Like, is it paid ads? Is it some other different ways to get predictable leads for their business?
So for me, it depends
Eh,
on a couple of different things. One is
mm,
the size of the business, and then the
mhm,
second one is the practice area of the service. And so,
mhm,
the first thing to identify when you are asking, "How do I reach my client?" is where can my
mm,
client be found? If
mm,
you're dealing with, let's say, a personal injury law firm, or if you're
mhm,
dealing with a barber shop, or if you're dealing with a video production company, or you're dealing with an
mm,
SEO company, your ideal client will be found in different places. And so you want
mhm,
to first ask, where can they be found? Then you want to ask, how much can I spend to reach those people in those particular areas? So I have a
mhm,
particular business that it's one of my clients who can find their client on Facebook. They've
mm,
dedicated almost all of their money to Facebook. Like that's where their
mm,
client can be found. The majority of their clients are on Facebook. Their clients are not on TikTok. Their clients are not on Snapchat. Their clients are not on Instagram.
mm,
And so you have to ask, where can my client be found? And then ask, how much budget allocation am I going to put to that particular channel where they can be found? The
mhm,
second question is the size of your business. I generally consult smaller businesses to spend most of their money on direct response. And by that, I mean getting clients now, people who are in the marketplace right now. Do you need a brand? Absolutely. If you hear any guru out there, they'll tell you you need a brand. Your brand is going to build a big business. Your brand reduces the cost of acquisition, increases the amount you can spend. Brand is everything. But in
mhm,
the beginning, you need sales. And so from
mhm,
0 to 3 million in revenue, spend all your money on direct acquisition. How do I get sales? And then at 3 million, you start building your brand little by little. And then as you get closer to 8 and 10 million, which is where we try to get these law firm owners, we want them to be more heavily reliant on brand. That's where we
mm.
want people to spend their money.
Yeah, and for new business owners, new law firm owners, um, part of the marketing mindset and even the marketing plan is usually part of a business plan in itself. And a lots of times, what I've seen is they'll develop the business plan and then it goes out the window
Yeah.
after. But how do you uh, how do you successfully take that business plan and then actually execute on it for growing the practice or business?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have to treat the business plan like a living document. This is not a
Mhm,
this is not a I do a business plan and then I put it in the filing cabinet and then I forget about it. This
mhm,
is I do the business plan and then every single month I review the business plan and ask the question, where did I miss? Why did I miss? And how do I fix it?
mhm,
Where did
mhm,
I not execute on my business plan? Why did I not execute on my business plan? And how do I fix the misses? What has to
mhm,
happen in order for me to fix it? Now, I generally
mhm,
recommend you do this at least once a quarter. The more you do this, the better you're going to come out. But at
mhm,
least once a quarter, you should be doing this. But if you really want to grow, you want to do this monthly and ask yourself, what did I not execute on that's in my business plan? So this is a living
mhm,
document. This is on your table all day long, every day. You're thinking about your business plan and you're
mhm,
asking yourself, how do I execute better on the business plan? And when you
mhm.
do that, you're more likely to get the result that you want.
So, businesses grow, the more successful you are, you have a lot more staff to take care of. And for, I think, a lot of business owners, they may not remember what it's to be like to work for somebody else. So how do you, as a business owner, really kind of understand, your employees and finding these particular employees that are right fit for you culturally?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that had really helped me out is that I was not an entrepreneur the first part of my career. I spent
Mhm,
12, 13 years as an employee of a law firm.
mhm,
And so
mhm,
I could identify with not getting a raise when I thought I was entitled to one, not
mhm,
getting a big enough discretionary bonus when I thought I put in the work,
mhm,
not getting the promotion that I wanted. I can totally identify with all of those things, and so for me, it made it a lot easier for me to understand my employees. But if you're not in that position, let's say you've never been
mhm,
an employee and you've been an entrepreneur your whole life, I think it would really benefit you to ask the question to your employees, how am I doing as a boss? Because
mhm,
here's the thing, many entrepreneurs are driven so much by ego, they're never willing to ask the question, what am I doing wrong?
mhm,
How can I be better? When I do a review with one of my employees, I always ask them the question, where did I miss?
mhm,
How can I
mhm,
improve? How can I be a better boss? The other day, I sent one of my newer employees an email, and he's in the sales team, and I asked him the
mhm,
question, what can I do to help you improve your sales? How can I be of assistance in helping you be better? And he's great, by the way. But I
mhm.
want him to know that I wanna help him out. I wanna make his job easier, and the easier that I make his job, the more likely he is to create an affinity towards loving working with me at work. And so I think it's asking the question, being empathetic, putting yourself in their shoes, and really, really being honest with yourself, especially if you're one of those hardcore entrepreneurs, because those people are tough to deal with. They're tough to deal with.
You mentioned being tough as an entrepreneur, but I think that particular trait is not inherent in everybody, right? And
Yes.
it does take courage, it does take grit. How do you develop that particular trait? Or how do you teach other people to who maybe don't have it, to have this particular mindset of, yes, it takes courage, it takes risk that most people are not willing to do,
You know,
to be
when
a successful business owner.
when you're asking that you're asking about, employees, how do you develop it or how do you get it
Sorry,
into
as
entrepreneurial?
as an entrepreneur. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, courage, risk taking. That's not always inherent for a lot of business owners. So how is can that skill, that trait, be developed?
I think it can be developed, but going back to the beginning of the of our conversation,
Uh-huh.
it's all a mindset. And if you
Mm,
don't have the mindset of a gritty person, there's a great book by Dr. Angela Duckworth. She wrote a book called Grit, where she talks about that mindset. And grit is really being able to do the monotonous for an extended period of time without losing enthusiasm. Like that's the definition. I don't know if I'm paraphrasing that or if I made that up, but I got that out of somewhere. I didn't come up with that myself. But I love that definition, the ability to do the monotonous for an extended period of time without losing enthusiasm. So if you want to teach someone to be gritty, you want to find the monotonous things that are required for to build their business, and you want to show them how to do that for a long time without losing their enthusiasm and motivation. And so when I'm working with a client and I see them losing enthusiasm and motivation on the monotonous things, I go back. I go, "Hey John, just want to remind you that is the monotonous part about building a law firm, about building a business, about being an entrepreneur. And if you lose enthusiasm there, your team will lose their enthusiasm for working for you. And so let's get over this. Let's get off the pity party. Let's get off the complaining train and let's just move forward because that is required as part of your business."
Hey, we're here with Lewis Scott, attorney, entrepreneur, speaker, and author, owner of Eight Figure Firm. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're kind of at the end, but before you go, we're going to go through our rapid fire lightning round questions. Are you ready?
All right. Yes.
All right. So, who do you look up to?
My dad. I look up to my dad, and he was my first mentor before I had mentors or had to pay for mentors. And he taught me a lot about showing grace and being kind to people. And I think that's important in entrepreneurship.
All right. What's your favorite business book?
The Four Agreements, and it's do not take anything personally. I think that really changes the way you look at how people behave and react towards you.
What's the best business advice you've ever received?
The best business advice is to stay committed long enough to see it through. If you give up every single time it gets hard, you're never going to accomplish your goals and dreams.
All right. So, this actually kind of ties into my next question. Are you familiar with the phrase 3 feet from gold?
3 feet from where we're excavating. Yes, 3 feet from gold. Yep.
So, how do you know as a business owner when to pivot in your business or when you might be just 3 feet from gold?
That is like the toughest rapid fire question I've ever gotten. I mean, to me, you keep on going as long as you have the passion, enthusiasm for what you're doing. The moment you realize that you no longer truly believe in what you're doing, you might as well just go ahead and turn around because you're really never going to reach it.
If you can do one thing over again, what would it be?
I would have more confidence and belief in my decision making and less fear and doubt about my abilities.
You lose everything in your business, and the only thing you have left is your laptop, your cell phone, and an internet connection. How do you rebuild your business in 30 days?
So funny story, I did lose everything. My one of my law firms went in the tank as we were splitting up, and what I did is I went out and sold. If you lose everything, go out there and figure out how to sell a product or service, and that's how you rebound in 30 days.
What's the best thing you spent $100 or less on that has greatly improved your personal life or your business life?
$100 or left. I mean, I would probably say it was a book because books have completely changed my life. And the book that really, really changed my life was The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F by Mark Manson. And I just realized I didn't need to care about what people thought. And that completely changed me as an entrepreneur.
All right. And the last question is it actually escapes me right now. Oh, what's the biggest challenge in your business today?
The biggest challenge in the business is having clients who believe in themselves enough to follow the program. And so, if we can
Uh,
get clients to believe in themselves enough to follow the program, we'll be more successful and they'll be more successful.
and do you work only with law firms or different types of businesses?
So, currently, we are geared towards law firms, but we have taken some accounting firms because it's a very similar service. But we do not advertise for anybody but law firms currently.
Very good. And so, hey, if our listeners want to get in contact with you, what's the best way?
My website, I'll spell it. It's LuissScottjr.com. You can find all my links, my books, my social media, and information about Eight Figure Firm.
Perfect. Hey, we'll put all those in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with Luis, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right.